You're about to witness some of the very best tips from some of the brightest minds on the planet. This is another episode of the Best of the Prime People podcast. In this episode, we're featuring Mark Salerno, Matt Leonetti, Jordan March, Kyle Handler, Andrew Daw, Ryan McLean, Darren Voros, Matt Campoli, Taylor Hack, Dave Hutch, Azra Zukin, and Talia McKinney. If you think about the roster that I just mentioned, not only are you getting some of the top tier real estate talent in New York City, you're getting insights from a guy like Matt Campoli, who runs the Price to Sell podcast, Dave Hutch, who's selling real estate in Tulum, Darren Voros, who is an expert real estate investor and developer in the Greater Toronto region, not to mention former TV star and national speaker, Mark Salerno, the king of virality and luxury real estate, Matt Leonetti, who is able to draw so much emotion from his listing videos, Andrew Daw, who is a luxury custom home builder with Halcyon, Taylor Hack, who's a futurist in real estate technologies, and Ryan McLean, a grass-fed beef farmer. Where else are you going to get such a variety? I started the Prime People podcast years ago because a lot of these conversations are backroom conversations I'm having anyways, so why would I be selfish and keep them to myself? Only thing I ask you is that you share, leave a review or rating on whatever platform you're on, or jump in the comments so I know who you are and who's listening to the episodes. We have some bangers lined up for 2025. I'm excited for you to be a part of this community. Now enjoy the show.
Go back in sense of I'm just talking strictly online.
Yeah.
Socials.
Yeah.
You know, from the sense of like, look, I only got 14 members.
Sure.
So I've kept it super tight knit.
It's way better.
Way better.
100%.
Like I'll be honest, if I was to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to sell anymore and I'm going to become a manager.
Yeah.
I've probably, and no word of a lie, in the last 2-3 years, I've probably had between 500 and 800 agents approach me.
Not surprised
and,
at all.
you know, if I want to make that move, it's a different game, because now you're just becoming, you want numbers and that's all you care about.
Dude, I was with a guy.
You lose this. This is what I love. This is what I do. Right?
Well, when you're in the coffee shop talking about the data, and you're like the lot sizes, and I asked you the square footage on purpose because I was like that your market intelligence is top shelf, and that's the fun part, is the art of the deal, right? That's what you like.
Absolutely.
In the industry as a whole, there's too many people chasing agent count, office count, right?
Yeah,
so I had a guy that's like, you know, how many agents do you have? And I told him, and he's like, oh, I've got this many, and I'm like, it's not about the numbers. I said, I'd actually prefer to have less. We got some good people, and they're happy to stick around if they want to kind of fit our mold. I think it's going to go the way of the craftsman, where you have very niche down people that bring like exceptionally high value, and then the people that want to get into recruiting, go for it. That's your job. If you want to recruit and you want to manage people, you can do that. I don't know.
It's not my cup of tea right now, and I don't know if it'll ever be that. You know, like for us, like I always look, for me, bro, I'm a very competitive guy. I like to do well.
Yeah.
Just from when I was a kid.
For sure.
Didn't matter what I touch. And it's like, you know, would I love to be number one in Ontario for our, you know, the GTA or whatever? We can't. And the reason why we can't is we don't have the manpower. I haven't, you know, the people that are doing number one numbers, like we've been sitting consistently around the top 50, you know, 77,000 agents or whatever it is. And it's like, in order to get that level, they have, like, these aren't teams, they're brokerages. They have 100 agents.
Well, as
you know, and like to give you an idea, I think the top dog right now this year is at about 650 million.
Yeah.
We're just shy of 100, and that's 650. They have 100 people on staff. I have 4.
What's your net effective on the 650, right? Like, it's easy to be able to say.
You get what I'm trying to say? 100%. So it's like, and then the thing is, look, when you go to 100 people, that's 100 phone calls that you got to be babysitting for, and that's just what it becomes when you're a manager. That's your job.
You're not actually selling.
You're not selling. You're taking calls all day, right? Yes, the boardwalk town.
When I got into the business, I was like, if I can just make $100,000, I'm set. You know, and it's the mindset, and it's so funny how it changes as you surround yourself
with different people.
It's like, whoa,
you see what's possible.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, I know so many people who just like, they've really done nothing. Like, they've just hung around with the same people and they're just not driven.
Yeah.
And it really, like, that really does exist. Like, the people you surround yourself with, like, that's a real thing.
Well, Rob's off camera here too, and like, he's been somebody that coming into the organization is like driving to find things, and like just by proximity, it's actually found us in a place where we're like, okay, are we providing what he needs or giving opportunities? Like, you could be working today, but you're like, I think this is a great opportunity for you two guys to connect, because you're going to go off and do awesome stuff. You two can collaborate. I don't have to be involved. And like, that's the kind of ecosystem that I think it's moving to. Where when I got in the business initially, I remember sitting in my first training class and they're like, here's the script.
Yeah.
DM every Facebook friend you have and tell them, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? I send a message to 3 of my good friends and they all make fun of me.
Really?
And they're like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I never did it again. I'm like, this isn't me, right?
I did that too. Because when I went, how long have you been in the business?
Since 2012.
2012. Okay, I was 2016, and even 2016, it was very one size fits all. It's like you need to do this, this, and this,
Yeah.
and that's how you're gonna be successful, and that's it. And I got told the same thing. I was like, they're like, DM all your Facebook friends. And I remember I DM'd one person. I was like, hey, I just got my license. I can sell your house. And they said, oh, we already have an agent. And I started freaking out, like, oh my God,
They're
they're
never
going to
gonna
write
use
me
me, I'm
up.
brand new.
No, I thought they were going to write me up because I thought they were going to tell their agent. And the
yeah,
agent
you were
was
trying to poach them. Yeah.
no, and all they teach you in the school is how not to get sued.
Yeah.
It's like you can't poach it. I thought I was poaching.
Yeah.
I was horrified, mortified. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny.
And then you realize you get in the business and like, I have seasoned agents calling my clients like,
Oh,
the day a listing expires, even though we're going to renew it. And then my clients send me the screenshots and you're like, all right, what it is what
yeah,
it is.
you're just
right?
like a shitty person.
I'm seeing a pattern though, the same thing now with the amount of people that are selling new agents courses on content creation
Yeah,
for the wrong reasons, right? Like
Yeah.
I think authentic content works, but I also think that like now that's something that you see being trained at from a brokerage level from people that don't actually do it.
oh my God.
Like telling it's the same thing. It's the Facebook message to your friends of
Yeah.
today is you got to get on video, you got to do this, you got to do that.
There's
right?
so many speakers I'll go see and I'll be like, what are you, dude, what are you talking about? Because what they do is they pick a bunch of headlines and they just blend all those headlines together and they have this keynote. But they they get on TikTok, but there's no substance or reasoning why and what you can do to build a real business on TikTok. It's get on TikTok and these are the things that are trending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what? Like, I can't stand that shit. There's so many people like doing masterminds now, like you said. It's just like you have no, you should not be doing this.
There's a lack of substance. I think with the shift in the market, there's also agents that are looking for the easy button, and it's longevity, right? Like same thing with your content. You're going to tell us later about your backstory a little bit in the first video you ever shot. I want to see that spot that you said that you take us to. But like, if anything, the one thing I learned with your content over the years is this constant, like, consistent application for you to just better the last video that you did, right? Like you did the first video and maybe it didn't pop, and then you did another one and then you got a little bit of attention, or this came, and then you always kept refining it. But I've always pointed to you as an example of like you're authentically yourself.
Yeah.
Versus people that are trying to be a Natalie and Eddie out there, right?
Totally. And it takes a while. Because like when I first started doing that, I thought, oh, I just need to be funny all the time. So had I done this interview when I first started, I'd just be trying to hit jokes, hit jokes every time. And it's like, well, no, that's part of me.
Yeah.
This is also part of me where I'm just like chilling, and if the opportunity arises for like a funny moment, it happens. But it's, it's like, you have to learn that about yourself. And it's funny about like, another thing with these fake gurus is they're like, oh, you got to get on camera and just be yourself. And it's like, well, yourself goes away when that red dot turns
100%,
on, you know, completely. Like I know some of the best people, and they get in front of a camera. It's like, who the fuck?
Completely sees up.
Yeah.
Shocking, right?
It's insane.
What was it like actually filming a TV show on Netflix while conducting business?
Definitely a balancing act. There's a lot that goes into making these things great. Great stories, everything's real, right? So it's just coordinating, the properties, the people, but it was quite the experience to be lived, and it's just really exciting. Every day was a new, just a new day. You're living in the show, right? So, it was a lot, and we're here. We have a really awesome show to show everyone, and excited to get everyone's feedback.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, are they following you around all day, or do they have like specific days of the week that they're like, okay, we're going to be with you at this time? Like, how does it actually work with the TV crews and everything?
Yeah. I mean, there's certain days that they would plan around, it was 10 of us. So the producers, had to do a lot of, just making sure they covered everybody's story. But everything you are seeing is real, right? So like, the people, the listings, the deals. If something didn't close, it's not closed on the show, right? So what you see is what you're getting.
So I guess they're like pre-show planning everything that's going on active business wise, and they're following your journeys throughout the show. Obviously, you've probably signed NDAs and like can't say certain things about the show, but that's got to be a fascinating thing for them to manage as showrunners, because you know how crazy real estate agents are. And imagine trying to wrangle 10 of you guys and then output something that's watchable. That must have been a fascinating experience.
Definitely fascinating. And I think they learned as much as we did, meeting each other in both worlds, taking real estate and what we do every day and then actually applying it in a TV situation. We see Ryan Serhant do it so effortlessly, but the rest of us were definitely called, to do a lot more than it looks, just to make sure that we had a successful production.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know Ryan. The people on the channel know Ryan as well too. You work very closely with him at Serhant. Did he give you guys any pointers in terms of like, okay, guys, you're going on TV? Did he share any wisdom of mistakes maybe he had made on previous shows to make it easier for you guys?
I think he just really pushed us to be our authentic selves, and really, maximize what that may look or feel like and not hold back. If you have a thought, say it. You have a an idea, push it, like try everything. So he was just more suggestive of us getting freed up, getting loose, feeling, authentic, because there are cameras around and everything. And, that's new for a lot of people. And I think he just guided us to really be our best self.
How long did it take you to like feel like the cameras weren't there watching you all the time and like get comfortable? Was there that kind of initial period? Because they have nice gear. They got big cameras and lots of people, right? So
yeah. I would say for the most part, you just, once you settle in, if everything flowed, but yeah, it's different, like there's definitely that, that kind of, beginner's curve, so to speak, of just getting acclimated to the production and the crew while still, living in the moment. This is not acting. This is not scripted, right? There's no second takes, right? So like you got to be ready to rock. They capture the moment. If it's worth it, I guess it made it. And that's what you're seeing tomorrow.
How can people navigate buying now, not knowing what the future looks like? If you're a brand new consumer, you've never bought new, how would you recommend that they find success?
Well, I think Joe touched on it in your previous podcast, where your first purchase, or if you're getting into real estate, it doesn't have to be your dream home right out of the gate. You can start small. There's a lot of affordable new construction right now. Yeah. If you're looking at townhouses, or there's a lot of options. So getting in is just the biggest thing. Picking some finishes that maybe look luxury, but you're not breaking the bank. I think that's where you're going to save a lot from a consumer perspective. And as long as you're in the real estate game, you can then upgrade. But if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to build new, and it's going to be something like this right out of the gate, you may not see that, and you're going to get discouraged, and it'll be a landslide effect.
Yeah, I also think you saying that, like, the beams are absolutely gorgeous in this house, and the comparables for this house, that is going to bring a direct value
for
because
sure.
There's another house probably priced in a similar, like, same vibe and feel, but it actually Landings has beams. But if I'm doing upgrades to a home where there's no direct comparable to the upgrade you're doing, that's where like kitchens and bathrooms are undefeated, right? Yeah. Kitchens and primary bathrooms are for sure undefeated, and the kitchens, primary bathrooms, and closets will sell 95% of homes. Yeah. I think what you're talking about is if you're doing upgrades for yourself, understand the difference between that and maybe a capital investment in a property that you're going to sell in 5 years.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then switching to, say, the investment or the rental market.
Sure.
Investors are terrified. Laws in Ontario when it comes to tenants, I'm going to buy this building, all the tenants are going to stop paying me.
Yep.
Like, you're in the property management business. What are you actually seeing when it comes to investments and owning buildings?
We're not seeing a lot of defaults on rents at the moment. At least we're not.
Yeah.
But it's a possibility. It's definitely, we just did a video on this actually a couple weeks ago where, evictions are a part of the game, where life circumstances happen. People sometimes are down and you may not get paid. But we find a lot of the time that if we're working with people, we'll be able to course correct versus, just issuing paperwork and going through the motions right out of the gate.
Because you probably don't actually want to evict people if you don't have to, right?
It's a huge expense to the landlord. Yeah. Plus, it becomes a salty situation between the tenant. They may not want to pay moving forward until their hearing happens.
Sure. And the hearing can take forever to actually happen, right?
8 to 10 months, probably, if you're lucky.
So what does that look like if you have a tenant that's in a dire strait? You can kind of sense things are going on. Do you reach out? Should the tenant reach out? What does that look like?
Well, it's always great if the tenant's a little bit proactive, but I don't want to speak about our company and our systems. We automate and we have communication directly, but it's immediate communication to figure out what's going on instead of letting it slide. Kind of like your video, right? Like it's a difficult conversation, you might as well get in front of it.
Yeah, Eat the Frog's a great book. I'd recommend everybody reads the conversation that you're avoiding. And usually you find a solution, because same thing, we dealt with a lot of bank sales, going off topic now, over the last couple of years, where banks didn't even want to take properties back. Like before, second lenders would take a property back in a heartbeat because they had enough equity in it that sure, I'll take the house back and then put it back on the market. And we never did a lot of that business because I didn't like how it felt.
Yeah.
But then we started getting calls from B lenders and A lenders saying, hey, we're going to have to take this house back, but we don't want it. Like, we don't want this on the market for 6 months, and get creative with the sellers to find a way. So I think that covers both the residential and the investment market. So
yeah, for sure. And last year was difficult because rising interest rates were, you couldn't predict it. You didn't know where the top was going to be. So it was really difficult for sales to happen, but now they've leveled off and they've plateaued. So I think that it's leveling out in the terms of activity and people are buying again. Yeah. But you have to be priced accurately, whether it's an investment and especially if it's new construction. If it's new construction, you need to be priced accurately or else it is going to sit for sure.
So 2 more questions and then I'll let you go here. One is for consumers. So if consumers are calling around on new build sites, what questions should they be asking to be well informed?
New build sites?
Yeah.
So a little bit of a long list here. Appliance packages, upgrade packages, timelines are big. Estimated contractor timelines, because we saw in pushbacks, which can really hurt qualifications. We saw that a little bit. And then you want to talk about the design team as well. That's really important, is knowing your numbers before you have to firm up, because there is that 10-day period. And if you have a conditional period, it could be longer as well. But you want to know your hard costs before you have to firm up, because upgrade lists can get out of control quickly because you're like, I want this, I want that. That looks really nice in my house. So before you make any decisions, that's important. And then, to be honest with you, a bio and a background on the builder. You want to know who you're partnering with and what that service looks like after the transaction.
Sure. It is a high interest environment right now. We've been dealing with it for 2 years. Yeah. I think every realtor in this room can attest to that. We just haven't seen as many buyers in the market, and the folks who are in the market, they're really taking a lot of time. They're really evaluating their choices and what's there. So for us, we've had to strategize. We've had to come up with a new product line to hit certain price points. Yeah. One of our big things is we really wanted to have some homes that are under the $1 million price point, single family homes, for that matter. So we developed 6 new models to hit that target market. And it just casts a broader net. More people, can come to the market. Now I feel as though we're getting more phone calls. We're getting more people inquiring. I think people are sensing that interest rates are flattening. Yeah. If we see some interest rate cuts, I don't know if there's going to be a flood back to the market, but it's kind of setting the tone that, okay, our tightening is done. We're going to start going down. And that's going to get potential home buyers thinking. Like, do I make a move now? Which is difficult. We're at 5%. I mean, people's disposable income has been tightened, and do we want to be purchasing a new home at this time point? So it's a challenge for us as builders and for you guys as realtors as well.
It is tough from a planning perspective. I was at lunch yesterday with a financial advisor, and she said previously when they're giving advice, it's based off the leadership. And it used to be very clear of, we're not going to raise interest rates. We are going to raise interest rates. Now there's a lack of clarity of what's coming down the pipeline. And she's looking for markers where her A lenders are probably giving her more of an indication of, are we going to see rate relief and buying power return to the marketplace? Because I can tell you, being boots on the ground, it's more of a purchasing power perspective than it is anything else. It's not a want to buy or sell. It's people that are locked in at like 2 to 4% rates have no reason to sell because they're sitting pretty. And then people that want to enter the marketplace can't because some of the qualifications that have changed, the fact that interest rates are where they are, and what the marketplace is providing in terms of product has made it difficult. But the stat I just read was last year, it was about 65% of people were sitting on the sidelines. Now it's 75, which I can see. And I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of the sentiment, though, like is different than what we're seeing. Because January to February was busy. Mid-March to like April just quieted down because maybe we got nice weather into January, February, and then it died off in March. May 1st, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, phones are ringing, people are out, multiple offers are happening, which is wild. You know, how do you think, regardless of if rates drop in June or not, how do you think people should be looking at planning in the current marketplace?
So we do new construction. With new construction, it's a lead time. It's 2 months for permits, give or take, and then maybe an 8 to 10 month build cycle. So we're talking about them getting their mortgage up to 12 months, 10 to 12 months from now. So it could be good timing for someone to, if right now we're seeing that interest rates are flattening or potentially dropping, you can get in at a fairly low price or a competitive price for a new build right now, because all the new builders, we want to attract customers. So we've done everything we can to lower our prices and then maybe ride that up wave, sell their home down the road, maybe 6 months down the road, and try and cash in on a bit of an upswing as well.
How are you treating clients that have a home to sell and they like it's always chicken or the egg because you need a contract to be like, all right, I'm going to build you a house, but their house hasn't sold yet.
I know the question. Yeah, it's we can't really start building on condition of sale with I've got to sell my home sort of thing, and we have no control over what price point they're going to set or what realtor they're using, or I have no idea the condition of their house. So we'll take that as a conditional offer, but we won't start building until those conditions are removed. Which is the challenge. It's almost like we need to sell 3 houses now just to sell one. So they need to sell theirs.
15 to get
They need
one
to sell
sold.
theirs, and then that person put an offer in conditional of me selling mine, and who knows what they're trying to get for their homes. It wasn't working last year. We would get conditional offers, but they weren't selling their house. They just weren't moving. Things are moving a little quicker. Just happened in Talbotville. We sold our model. It was conditional based on them selling their house. They sold in about 2 weeks.
And so that I'm seeing a lot more where people are getting really sharp on their price points and they're not just hoping that they sell. If they have a conditional offer on something, they're figuring out a way to actually make it happen. We've noticed that massively. And I also think people are getting more creative and understanding where previously people would put an offer on something, you know, not have their house sold, try and extend a 6-month closing where like we're having conversations with people and we tell them like, what happens if somebody gives you an offer for your house and it has to close in 30 days? Do you have an option? Are you moving in with family? Are you renting? And I think people have found ways now and are more motivated now than I've probably seen in the last 3 years.
We've had purchasers that have done that. They wanted to sell their home. They wanted to know what they were going to get, and they rented.
So I grew up on a farm just southwest of London, south of Kerwood, if anyone knows where that is. And so it was kind of a hobby farm, similar to this, not obviously this beautiful house on it. But grew up there, cattle, pigs, goats, sheep, everything you can name of. My dad worked full-time in the egg industry, so it was kind of a little side gig. My parents were super big on us going to university, so I kind of got pushed that route and went to University of Guelph, and I didn't actually take ag at Guelph. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I'm kind of glad I didn't take that aspect.
So is everybody here. We don't like lawyers. No, I'm just kidding. We like lawyers, good lawyers.
So the reason why I made the shift was once I kind of got away from the farm and got into the city, I realized what we had growing up and how awesome it was to have a farm. So Dad kind of pushed me to do the agriculture side of things. So I graduated from Guelph and I went to Ridgetown College for 2 years and did my ag diploma there. And in that time, I got hired by Parrish and Heimbecker, which is a massive agriculture company here in Canada, and did a summer student program with them. So worked there for 4 or 5 years, shifted to another company. And just last year, I joined another company managing Eastern Canada for a chemical company. So I've kind of made my ways up, but within that time, I grew a huge passion for real estate and kind of realized there was a little bit of a niche in the ag side of real estate. And obviously having that background and the knowledge, because when you look at agriculture, there's a lot of things that the general public doesn't realize and know. And I figured that if I could get my real estate license and jump into the ag side, I could help, the average client or the investor side of people that aren't in the ag industry all the time and know all the background stuff. I could be that, kind of hole that was missing. And that's kind of where we kind of met and why we're here now. So
how did we actually meet? Like, what was the connection to us? This is live. I actually forget.
So I posted on my Instagram if anyone knew any great real estate brokerages to work.
I didn't pay him to say that. I promise you.
And I had numerous people reach out to me and say, hey, you should talk to Justin Conoco. He's a weapon in London. And we kind of have, I think these similar people background. I worked at a bar for a number of years in London. And that's kind of probably where those connections came from. And I reached out to you and asked to sit down. And luckily you took that because I know how busy you are. So, and here we are.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking about that on the way here. A lot of you, I don't know if you know my past. I used to run Joe Cool's and Jim Bob's and all those places. I started off as a bouncer who couldn't fight. And then ended up running marketing, coordination, DJing, and everything. That industry taught me a lot. And I also think God on my way here was like, hey, just so you know, like your life is going to be serving people. And I'm like, I'm literally hosting at a restaurant. I literally feel like I'm back at Joe Cool's when I was setting up today. So I was laughing about that. But I do think your interest in real estate, as a younger guy, I think I say that as a compliment. You built a house, on the investment side, you definitely have that aptitude. But what I really like is when people find their niches and they really want to go down a wormhole of, I want to get really good at this one thing. I don't want it to feel like it can't be a collaborative space or business, because a lot of real estate agents, they feel like they have to be an island unto themselves. They don't want to share with anybody else. And he's really been the opposite. And I think even us dealing with clients, his success, one of the biggest notes that I'll give anybody watching this or listening is his ability to not get stuck behind email or phones, and he just picks up the phone and has conversations with people. Now he has the knowledge to back it up. And maybe on the real estate side, he'll come to me for the vision and the strategy. But a lot of times on the ag side, I'm going to him for details on things that I'm not even as equipped as he is, right? So I'd say surround yourself with people that complement your skill set and find people that, you want to do business and life with. Going back to, you said you want to help consumers with the things they don't understand when it comes to agricultural real estate. Like, what are some misconceptions you think are out there when it comes to farms and ag?
Yeah, so there's a lot when you look at soil in itself, and there's so many aspects behind it that the general population just doesn't understand. And with the way the dollar figure is now and interest rates, farmers aren't just buying land to buy acres like they were the last 15 years. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with, is this farm going to cash flow or get me close to cash flowing? Is it going to produce yield that is going to make me money? And I think that is where I believe, there needs to be some background work in soil fertility. Is it tiled? The soil type itself. And that's where, the general person probably just doesn't have that background. I'm a certified crop advisor. I, went through all that. So, and I've been doing it. I worked in ag retail for 10 years. So I'm very knowledgeable, I guess, in that aspect of it. And I feel that that's where I can help bridge that gap.
Well, I think for me, it was a natural progression. As probably many of you who are in the investing space and even in the real estate space, you get good at something, start maybe small with baby steps, and then you eventually want to almost graduate to something a little bit bigger. I think it's natural in life. I think it's natural in business. And so for me, getting into the real estate market, getting things like purpose-built duplexes and triplexes was great, and I loved it. And when I started, it was really a fascinating process. And the next logical progression was bigger transactions, bigger deals, bigger properties, more capital, more investors, and that just kind of allowed me to grow and progress on both sides, both as an investor, as a business owner. And that's been kind of my journey. It's just been a natural progression through the years.
Break that down in chunks for the people listening and watching. How long did it take you like to enter your first real estate investment and then maybe get to a point where you felt like you understood that asset class before moving to the next one?
Well, I took the path of trial and error. I would not recommend it. I didn't really have a lot of mentors in the early days. I was just, I worked over in Japan for a year. My previous life was, I was in musical theater, and I was over in Japan. I saved up a bunch of money while I was over there. I came back and I had no idea what to do with this money. And so I thought, well, I should probably buy some real estate because I've heard that's a good investment.
Where did you hear that? Just anecdotally?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so bought my first rental property. Well, it actually wasn't planning to be a rental. It was supposed to be a flip. And I bought it. It was in Alberta. That's where I grew up.
What year?
2002.
Okay.
And so I bought it from the builder, and I was going to finish the basement. I was going to turn around and sell it and make profit and go on to the next one. And I was going to supplement my acting career with real estate. And then I couldn't sell the property because the builder...
So you didn't hire Prime.
Yeah, because the builder still had lots available, and why would you buy this price property from me when you could just go buy it from them? And so I rented it out for 4 years, and and then 4 years later, it almost doubled in price. And so I took that money and I went and I scaled my portfolio, and I ended up buying 3 within 6 months of selling that one property. And then I was like, hey, this real estate thing is pretty cool. I like that. And that's when I brought my money to Ontario and started buying in and around the Toronto area. And then of course, Toronto has done what it's done over the last couple decades. And I bought some properties in some fringe areas in Toronto. Yeah. And that for $395,000, I think, at the time, and now they're worth $2.4 million. Yeah. And so you just, you get that large equity appreciation, and then you take that capital and you just start, sort of building your portfolio based on that. But again, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you like this was my grand plan and I was so incredible at what I did. I literally got, I think, lucky a couple times, because you could very easily have bought a property in Alberta and not seen any increase for 10 years, which is what I've seen over the last decade in Alberta. So I just kind of hit it right in Ontario or Alberta, and I hit it right in Ontario. And so that's what's really allowed me to sort of scale and grow. But now it's much more strategic in what I do.
And so when you went from 1 to a couple units, was it the same builder, same area that you purchased in, or did you go around?
That was the only one I bought in Alberta. And then I moved to Ontario, and I started buying purpose-built rentals. Not purpose-built rentals, but I started buying for the purpose of renting out the properties.
And when you would make those acquisitions, what were you looking for? Like, what were the leading indicators of this would make a good investment for me?
I was really just looking for cash flow, something that I didn't have to put money out every single month. And that was really the only factor that I was seriously considering, because I didn't really know about, what the market was capable of, at that point. I was just like, does the rent cover what my expenses are? And if it does, then that's a purchase that I would be interested in making.
Yeah. And I think in the current state of real estate investing, I think we've all gone back to first principles, right? Where I think a lot of people over the last, call it 5 years specifically, projecting strictly on passive appreciation, not taking into account what the actual cash flow of the property is going to be, what the lending rates are going to be. And now I think first principles are back to baseline. What do you think the state of the real estate industry looks like in the next 10 years? Like, where do you think the opportunity zones are for real estate investors given the current climate? Or are you completely bearish on it that it's going to level down for the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, we're in the middle of a housing crisis. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And that is going to drive the real estate market. We're just not bringing enough units to the market. We're not bringing them to fast enough. And it's not going to be solved by some government intervention. It's going to be solved by the private sector. And so I think, you're seeing all of these incentives being brought down from the federal level, from the provincial level, from the municipal level, and all of it points to purpose-built rental. Mm-hmm. They're trying to incentivize developers to put rental units on the market. And so I think that if you're in that space over the next 10 years, even over the next short term and also long term, I think there's tremendous opportunity there.
I enjoyed the teaching. I enjoyed the mentoring. Right?
Well, if I look at all the knowledge that you've been gathering for the last, how long has the Price of Sale been around?
2 years.
2 years. I mean, yeah. How many, like, what's your cadence? Like, how many episodes did you do a year?
52.
52. So it was one a week every single week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure. I've been testing different things. I don't know if you've seen me do live streams.
No.
I've done different things with the pod.
Yeah.
Because it's gotten a little stale.
Yeah.
Like, how many agents can I interview and talk about business?
It's funny. So somebody said this to me recently. It's going to be stale more for you than it is for the audience. Because you're the person doing the interviewing and you're in this search for knowledge. So if you're like, you're in the same place that I am, right? Where like I ran the Prime People podcast since 2015, 16.
Yeah.
And I always just did it for fun, like interview people that I like that are doing cool stuff, a little all over the place with it. Got really zoned in last year. I kind of don't want to do any more virtual ones. I only want it in person. And that's what launched this show.
Yes.
I was actually talking to Hutch randomly and the idea just came up and I'm like, that's actually fantastic because I can get belly to belly with people, see their world. And it's a different kind of thing, right? So I think part of you might be searching for like, how do you inject new life into something that you're a black belt on now?
Yeah.
Right? Because you put in the reps.
Yeah.
Because you want to grow, you want to evolve. Which
exactly.
Is the journey, right?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It is interesting. I think the podcast. I just come to the conclusion that it's not gonna like. Well, I won't cap myself, but it's a foundational thing. It's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It helps build and complement everything else I'm doing.
For sure.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't need to like get stressed on the fact that is this ever gonna blow up and be like hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
It may never get there.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So
it has its place in the overall ecosystem of what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We brought on some talent to help, like me. You know, Cash Lavi. You ever see me? Have you seen my skits?
I'm looking them up. Yes, I've seen your skits
with the Persian realtor.
Is it Kash?
Yeah.
Cash Alvi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Cash, I heard you're the man.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's jokes.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
I've seen him in your stuff before.
Yeah, so he's just hilarious. So we just vibed and I'm like, why don't you come on under the umbrella of Price of Sale as like talent, and we'll house the skits and everything we do under the brand. So it just become more of a media.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of how we're rolling with it now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like a media outlet. We have this girl Tara. She's out there doing street interviews.
Yeah.
In like Miami. She's going to Dubai. Housed under the.
You're in Toronto too, which is the easiest place to always find interesting people. You walk outside with a microphone.
We want to go to King Street.
Yeah.
At like 3 a.m. and just go up to random drunk people and be like, how much do you just drop on booth and bottles right now?
Yeah.
$5,000? Sick. Do you own real estate? Cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's funny when you think about that, right? Every week.
Yeah.
$20,000 a month. Put that in the kitty. Decide to just take the week off. Or take a year off drinking and smoking, put all that cash into something, and then put that into real estate. It's funny, I was talking to investor girl Britt yesterday, and I met her when she like started, when she had 0 followers. She came to an investor summit with Scott and the crew, and she just did it. Like she was doing everything herself. Took like $20,000 and then turned it into 40, and then $40,000, $75,000, and it's amazing to see what she's done over the years.
What kind of investing?
All real estate investing. She's doing storage facilities now.
Oh, cool.
I'll get her to connect with you. She's a monster. So here, I'll show you. That's her account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and like what she made her way, I'll show you how she actually did it, was actually just doing hyperlapses of her doing the work. I wonder if she has any video. Yeah, so she would do these videos. So she would actually do the renos herself. She would hyperlapse the whole thing. But she would do the rental. She did flooring, she did the paint, she did everything, and then she would just re-up, like take the cash out, refinance the property, buy another one, build a portfolio.
Interesting. It's every year in the distillery.
Okay.
They do the Christmas market.
Oh, I've seen photos of that.
The big hearts right here, where everyone proposes and stuff.
Are you trying to tell me something? You bringing me here for a reason?
This might be a whole setup.
You are capping off one of my favorite work seasons I've ever had.
Oh,
so
yeah?
This is my last day, and then I'm going to try and just work remotely from home, staycation, holidays.
Nice.
Yeah. So
And you just get back from Mexico?
Last week, yeah, last Thursday night. Real estate over there is interesting too.
I saw you looking at lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Cruising around.
Oh yeah.
Any interesting projects?
Yeah. It's interesting. Like there's no bank financing, so it's all cash.
Okay. Do you get expats buy down there?
Yeah, all kinds.
No problem. Like
no problem, man. Super safe, and it's a mixed community. It's just hard. Like the investor mindset kicks in. It's like I can't leverage my money. It's all cash.
Yeah.
So
it's tough. Like so when we invest, we like buying very passive stuff and land that is going to be worth something to us in an area we know.
Yes.
And we've thought about that from vacationing and going different places. It's so tough because you want your money to work for you, but other times it's like maybe I'll just spend the money on a vacation and then not necessarily have it tied up in a non-liquid place, right?
Like what's an example?
So like when it happened, we were like, okay, let's buy an Airbnb in every single place we like to travel because we're going to be traveling a lot more. Like we're going to go to other places, right? But when we looked at the tax issues, we looked at management and everything else too, we decided like, let's leave the main thing. Like we have a great referral network in those areas. We still shoot content, send a lot of referral business in those areas, but we don't need to actually own short-term rentals in all those places because we're not short-term rental investors. That's just not our jam, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
Well, hey man, I might swap my Florida investment
for Mexico.
No, just in Florida, but for passive long term.
Oh, okay.
Because I have the short term investment there right now, Fort Lauderdale, my house.
Oh yeah.
But it's so saturated because Toronto does super well. Like mine over here does it great because there's so much red tape. There's lots of rules and regulations. So number one, scares a lot of people from wanting to get into that investment, and you're capped to only one per person because you have to claim it under your primary, right?
Interesting.
So it's hard to scale. So it's not like you have guys that own, 10 to 20. Although there are loopholes and people do figure out a way to get around it to scale to maybe even 3, 4. Yeah. So the number of competing Airbnbs that we were experiencing pre-COVID to now has dropped significantly. So the returns are actually amazing.
Yeah, I see us like moving from here into what we'll probably define as the artificial intelligence era. So that's what I really see as next.
Yeah. And then where do you think the biggest opportunity zones would be in AI for real estate?
The first thing is just to remember that the water rises from the bottom. So all of the menial tasks, like I remember in my first year of real estate, I was calculating with a coach. And I guess the average person types on their phone at about 22 words a minute. But we send so many of the common text messages that through my keyboard shortcuts, I was saving a 40-hour work week annually against my competition. So that was like a little bit of a technology hack just to kind of essentially like make time. And making time is actually the whole goal. So I talk to teammates about this often. But there's a certain time where we know that they can do it, right? Where you're like, okay, you've got it. Now that's still like a pretty early level. As a jiu-jitsu practitioner, I think that the most effective definition of a blue belt is someone who we would expect as jiu-jitsu practitioners to win against any full-size untrained adult.
Yeah, it's fairly accurate.
That's the first graduation in an adult belt. And it says that, yes, you were expected to win. And then as you go further, you start to see like some depth. Like purple belt makes a very different statement. So I was working with artificial intelligence, and this is going to be how like we don't know how it's going to progress. Because what I was trying to solve is when I look at my teammates, what belt are they? How do I know that I've cleared the criteria to give them the next belt? So I took the definition of jiu-jitsu belts and the KPIs and graduation movements of my teammates, now that I've had enough to track. And I actually had AI give me what a purple belt agent should look like.
That's awesome. What did it output? Like, what are the components of a purple belt agent?
Well, I think that like in the progression, a white belt basically says student. Right? One of the most beautiful martial arts stories is how Kimura was buried with a white belt on. He is a master of judo. He is I don't even know how depth into a black belt, how many degrees into a black belt he was, but he was buried with a white belt on, and that's a statement of the eternal learner. And so we see the white belt as being a learner, and then maybe a blue belt in real estate is someone who is expected to score deals at consistency. Sure. Right? So they have like a general wherewithal. And then when you get into a purple belt, you're normally looking for somebody who can maybe challenge belts higher, right? You're looking for somebody who is has taken that blue belt's ability and really started to hone it against, maybe mark against other people in the craft. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of go up to there from brown belt, and brown belt are those guys and ladies in real estate that they have their own game. Mm. Now you can tell that they're carving out a little niche
style,
like you
patterns.
Yep, you probably rolled with a few people that you're like, yeah, try to stay out of this position because that's their like butter zone. Yeah, and you probably got a few of your own positions that you're constantly like, you know, that people will underestimate you from those.
I've got two that I know, even the brown belts and the black belts. I get surprised sometimes with them. And it's funny because some of it comes from like impingements I had before I had my hip surgery. You know, I couldn't move my leg a certain way, so I had to like adapt myself to succeed in other ways. And I think real estate's the same way, right? Like somebody that maybe naturally isn't great on video might find another pathway, and they're incredible writers or copywriters or networkers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's some people that are known to be masters at basics. Mm-hmm. Like in jiu-jitsu, it'd be like Rickson Gracie. Mm-hmm. Where his movements are not considered to be complex, but they are so combined. Yeah, it's just incredible to see. And then there's other people that adapt in specific ways, like John Danaher, when he was don't ignore the 50% of the body. Yeah. So that's something that maybe I see from you in real estate, is the fact that you have, you operate really well in residential environments, but then you have this access into investment real estate and in commercial real estate that is something that you don't see among your competition.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Actually, it's one of our biggest advantages. I call it focused diversification. It initially started because I was like, London's only 360,000 people. So I was like, if all I do are these deals, then like the scope's limited. If we build a Navy SEAL team where my commercial agent's working on a brand new industrial facility, like I knows that facility needs to buy a house, so he can call Rob, and then maybe that guy's kid's gonna buy an investment property and he can call Jamie, right? So focused diversification creates an internal ecosystem. That's why we thought about it.
It's really interesting to see is that's the way to unlock, right? Because a lot of people don't understand these chess moves where you're saying, okay, if I go here, I'm going to get what you're after anyway. Yeah. And by going to be able to help somebody like an entrepreneur who's buying a building for a business, then you're getting their residential business where other people would be trying to compete for their residential business, and that never coming to them.
I'm going to repeat myself because I just said this to Natalie and Eddie, but this is off the cuff, and I want to tell you this. I was talking to a developer 2 days ago. He said something to me that rang true, and I want to hammer this home. And he said, like, you know, he's talking about a potential partnership with another big developer, and like, I'm their guy, and this guy has their guy, and like, I immediately go into sell mode. I'm like, we're the best, right? I'm like, this is the reason. We crushed that guy. Last time I went up against him, I'm like, here's my platform. He's like, Justin, you don't have to sell him. He's like, even if you were the number one agent, he's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, if you were the number 3 agent, we'd choose you over the number 1 because of this, right? And that really stuck with me because it, like, what you just said is so true. Like, it is a relationship game, and it's making sure that you're moving closer to actual relationship versus, hey, I'm just going to tell you whatever you want to hear to make this one sale on the building, and then you're just competing again. And you're always competing versus, like, you honor the relationship by proxy. They're going to call you and say, hey, Taylor, who do I call for this? And even if it's not you, somebody in your network, a referral partner that you have, like, by proxy, they're still getting Taylor. Taylor's eyes will be on in some capacity, and that's what you want at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, so, like, I see it as, in our business, as our 3 uniques. Like, we see ourselves as being experience first. We also see ourselves as being like a connection over transaction. Yeah. Like, we really do value those connections, even if there isn't a transaction to be had. And then the other part of it is like a systemized team. So a group of specialists competing in a market of individual generalists. Sure. And so when we are going into situations where we might be competing for a listing, we're always drawing into those 3 uniques, just like someone in jiu-jitsu would draw into their strengths. And that's something that I noticed with you, is that you know how to make money in real estate. how could it be possible that somebody would come to you for a commercial deal where they see how you're able to determine like a good business decision and then trust someone else for their housing? Because many real estate agents are going to be a split between the two primary skills.
Yeah.
And one is finding people to help, and the other one is helping people.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you see as being number one are really good at finding people to help and not so good at helping people.
That's so sure.
Okay, good. Long overdue.
Yeah. What's going on in your world, brother? How are things in the greater Toronto area?
Everything's good. I think we were just talking about it, but everything's crazy down here. Toronto, everyone's enjoying their freedom. The streets are packed every day. I think the downtown, I live in the downtown core, so it's nice to see people out enjoying everything, enjoying the summer, enjoying the weather. And honestly, it's cool. I live across from a lot of these local bars, and it's loud. Don't get me wrong. I live across from them, but it's nice to see these businesses kind of recover from what they just went through in the last couple of years, right? So it's cool to see.
Yeah, and like any good Canadian, if it's over 10 degrees Celsius here, we have our tropical shirts on and we're ready to party. And I think that's what downtown Toronto is. You're laughing there. You're like, man, these people even work? Because you're at it every day, right? Like you're grinding. Like, what does your current schedule look like in terms of how you're moving and shaking in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny? I just hired a real estate coach fairly recently in the last 6 months, and he's been pushing me more to take more time off than I have in the past. I like working. I like what we do, and I don't really find it work. So for me, I enjoy what I do. I'm working 7 days a week. I think we have to put yourself ahead of everybody else. And yeah, 7 days a week. One thing I've changed drastically in the last little bit was how I've structured my days. And that's just kind of helped from my coach, and in the sense that I need to remember that you need to put time in your business and not just constantly work on your business and get caught in that rat race. So now I'm in the point where, my mornings are pretty much me working in my business, and on my business. And then I'll take clients out later on in the day, but I'm every day, man. I'm every day.
Well, I want to encourage people that they can feel that way, right? Like, especially growing a business, you can make that part and parcel of who you are. You don't have to separate it. I think sometimes a lot of people just punch a clock. They want the weekends off and they want to check out completely from the job that they do. And that's okay if that's what you're looking for. But it seems like you were searching for more and you found a job that gives you that unlimited potential. So let's go back though. I don't know your history. Give me a snapshot of how you ended up here. Like, where'd you grow up? Were you always entrepreneurial? How did that journey evolve?
Yeah, truthfully, I was never really entrepreneurial in the sense that I played hockey growing up. I'm from London, Ontario.
Okay.
And I played hockey my whole life. Ended up, changing cities quite a bit to getting traded different cities. I played in Sarnia for a little bit, Windsor for a little bit.
How old are you?
33. I just turned 33.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So you would have been that. I used to run Jim Bob's and Cools in all those places, actually. So we probably would have crossed paths at some point in time.
100%. And yeah, while playing hockey, I think the easy way out was firefighting and a police officer. That's all we really knew. I went to school during it. My parents were very, if you don't get an education, they wouldn't help me with any, my hockey adventures. They knew I wasn't going to the NHL by any means. So they always told me, education is first. And if you do that, they will pay for your way, at least to have some fun while you're young. And studied at Laurier University and in sociology. So graduated sociology, was kind of left doing nothing. I applied to be a firefighter, became a firefighter. So I was a firefighter for 6 years.
Wow.
And started doing real estate part-time. That's how it started.
Yeah.
I think literally month one, I was like, man, I don't know if there's an in-between here. I can't do both. It's extremely difficult. Real estate's not a part-time career. It's impossible. I really genuinely think it's impossible. You can get by and you can do business, but I'm an all or nothing kind of person, and I need to be all in or all out with whatever I do. And I don't like mediocrity with anything. So I left the fire department and focused full-time on real estate. I love the entrepreneurial side of things. I loved running my own business. I love the fact that, it's every day is a brand new challenge. And one of the cool things that I always tell myself is you literally wake up every day essentially unemployed.
Yeah,
and it's true. I have nothing guaranteed tomorrow. So it's my job to build a successful business so I don't feel like that and plan for the future, right?
It's a loaded question. But I could say that my mother is a real estate agent, which she is. And I could say that my parents are both entrepreneurs, which they are, and tell you my whole life story. But we only have, short snippet here.
I said it was going to be 15 minutes. Each podcast has been 45, so.
That's okay. So I think as many of us, just like many of us, I was attracted by real estate or being a professional in this industry because of the flexibility that it could offer me. And I am a mother. And what I realized during, this last 4 years, it's crazy to say that 2020 was only 4 years ago. Seems just like yesterday. I entered the industry because I wanted to live my life more intentionally. I think once you have children, you reorganize your priorities, sometimes very quickly, overnight almost. And I was working in finance. I have always loved advising people, educating people. And I also at the same time had parents that I have seen invest in real estate since we came to Canada. I'm from Bosnia originally. And during the onset of that war, we moved to Germany. And, there's nothing like seeing your parents need to just put their feet down on the ground and, start running when they have absolutely no other option. So those are kind of, the role models in my life that I saw growing up. And just like some of the other speakers that you had on today, I was encouraged to go to university, not college, because I would have been disowned. Typical European family. So I went to university and I went to college afterwards. I almost went to law school as well, actually wrote my LSATs. And super long story short, once I did become a mother, I realized that this is nice and dandy, but I really want to bring together my experience in real estate investing because I had already owned a couple of properties in my early 20s and my understanding of finances into one world, and this was it. So I was actually working for TD in the private wealth sector and doing my real estate course online while raising 2 children. They're only 21 months apart. And I mean, if my parents could do it and not speak the language of the country that they're living in, I knew that I could. So I just put my head down and did the work, and here I am.
So nobody has any excuses. If you're like, I'm too busy. I'm like, I promise you there's always somebody busier than you out there. But again, just like every other podcast we do, you hear somebody's title, immediately make an assumption, and then you start digging in and you find out investor, parents that are entrepreneurs, people that really worked hard to get where they got, wanted a better life for their kid, university. You go through that process and you are where you are today. I think one thing I want to talk about out of the gate, now that we know kind of the backstory, what is your opinion of the current climate of the real estate market? Like, what are you seeing boots on the ground in terms of activity? Is it brutal in your area? Maybe give us a snapshot of the real estate market currently.
So when we moved to Canada in 1999, we moved to the location that my parents thought everyone spoke German, which was Kitchener. And I grew up in Germany, and I was about 11 years old when we came over, and no one really spoke German in Kitchener unless it was Oktoberfest.
Or St. Jacobs, right? You're going to animes for some
Or
chicken.
if you went to St. Jacobs, during the weekends. But seeing how the Kitchener-Waterloo area has grown over the last 25 years is just phenomenal to me. I loved what you said earlier on about how, London is what Kitchener used to be, et cetera, right? And I am always very, I see the cup as half full, always. There's always an opportunity out there. There's always something that you can do with a challenge. They're just really stepping stones. That's how I see them. And we can take, macro assumptions and say that during the winters, it's always kind of like lully, and we have the interest rates that we have, kind of widespread in Southern Ontario. All that taking into consideration, it's really healthy out there. I have seen people come out that were really discouraged, from the buyer's perspective for a really long time. But even on the selling side, people are kind of getting their realistic gearing back into place and understanding that what they thought was a gain in 2021 on these little condos that they bought just wasn't. But at the same time, too, I'm telling people, just because you don't feel like it's your time right now, it doesn't mean it won't be in like a year or 2 or 3, because as we all know, real estate is a long-term game.
My mom says, like, since early age of like 3, 4, 5, she's like, if you wanted something, she's like, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's gonna have to have this thing. Like, if she wants to win something, or if she wants a toy, or if she wants to, she's like, when I was 8 years old, she said I wanted to move to New York City when I went to college and graduated college at the age of 8. And she's like, she's gonna move to New York when she graduates college because that's what she wants and that's what she's going to have a goal toward. And I'm just someone who commits. And I'm like, okay, I want this. Now, how do I get there? Like, how do I do this? How do I, like, what are the steps I need to take? And I think it's great to have a mentor and to have people surround you, like I said, supporting you. But at the end, it's like, you need to get to bed early, to wake up early, to train, to like do things to succeed. So I think that's super important.
You are competing with yourself. So, yeah, on that point, I think what I want to kind of draw out of this conversation a little bit is, I see you in that ecosystem, but I see you as a driving force that would succeed despite the ecosystem, but you're better because you're aligned with people who are also running at a speed that makes you want to keep up, right? And for me, that's always been something that, like, I look at other people and I draw energy from them, but I am battling my own race. I saw you make the jump and jump in early when Serhant was brand new. I'm sure that was a big risk. Was that scary? What was it like? How did you find success in your transition?
Well, I go way back with Ryan Serhant. So I started working with him actually in 2016 when we were Serhant team at a previous brokerage. And it's a funny story because I had gotten into real estate 10 years ago in 2014. And I was watching $1 Million Listing New York, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy Ryan, like, he's like cool. He's the best in New York. I want to work with this guy. And again, me being me, I was like, well, I'm new to the industry. I have nothing really to offer this guy, but I deserve to work with him, and I'm going to work with him. So for literally 2 years, I stalked, which I now say pursued, Ryan Serhant for 2 years before I got any contact from him in agreeing to have me on his team. I'd like prove myself to him because out of those 2 years that I was like pursuing him, you know, I got to learn the business. I became a rental agent and was like running around hustling. And then literally after 2 years of stalking this guy, I was sitting in front of him and he's saying, why should I have you on my team? Which he agreed to. And he's like, okay, you're going to be great. And that was 8 years ago. And so when he started Serhant 4 years ago, I had proved myself to him after, you know, working with him side by side on his team that he's like, you're obviously coming with me to Serhant. And he's like, you've grown so much, you should probably start your own team, probably start helping us mentor other, you know, sell it agents, other people in sales. And so that's how we sort of grew. It was kind of like a no-brainer. He was like, well, obviously you're coming. I was like, okay, am I now?
I wonder if we were there at the same time too, because I remember going to the old Soho office. I remember the bullpens. Jordan was my actual main connect initially, because he has a tie to London, Ontario, and long story short, like I remember a whole bunch of people working in the bullpen, right? So
yeah, that was like Jordan and I used to like make eyes at each other, just like, you know, he was sitting at the front, like rolling his eyes at people. I was sitting there rolling my eyes at people, you know, doing the thing. Yeah, so we had that office, and kind of grew from there. And then when I first started with Ryan, I was working primarily in Brooklyn, and then I expanded, and he's like, whoa, I'm so glad you stalked me for 2 years because you're legit. But, you know, I wasn't just like, oh, I need to work with Ryan and just, you know, be given everything. I was like, I want to work hard. I will work hard. I will be the best agent on your team here. I was a college athlete, you know, I'm determined. I pursued you for 2 years. And he's like, that does make sense.